What are people thinking when they jump into a zoo enclosure of a wild animal? It is really difficult to fathom what exactly goes on in the minds of these people when they decide to come face to face with a tiger, lion, or bear. Of course, not all times, an event like this happens on purpose. There have been occasions when a kid or a grown-up has accidentally fallen into a death trap of being in the same enclosure of a ferocious wild animal. And how do these encounters typically end? Well, sometimes in death, at other times with severe mauling, and if you are very lucky, you escape without any injury. But you know what is most disturbing about such incidents? The poor animal is put down at times for no fault of theirs. One has got to empathize with the animals here because at the end of the day, it was not at their invitation that the humans ended up in the enclosure with them. We cannot say with certainty whether it is the security of the zoo that must be blamed for making it so easy for such episodes to occur, or are stupid humans going out of their way to invite tragedy? Or is it plain bad luck? Whatever it is, such incidents are happening so frequently these days around the world that we decided to compile a list of 16 occasions when a human came face to face with wild animals inside a zoo exhibit. Jersey Zoo. In 1986, the UK Zoo was rocked by an incident similar to what happened recently in Cincinnati, in which Harambe the gorilla was shot by a zoo official to save the life of a 3-year-old boy. However, the Jersey Zoo incident had a happy ending. In this case, a 5-year-old Levin Merritt fell into the gorilla enclosure at the Jersey Zoo, losing consciousness during the fall. One of the zoo's silverback male gorillas, Jumbo, approached the bleeding and unmoving child. Jumbo did not react violently, but instead sat down and guarded Merritt from the other gorillas in the exhibit. The boy eventually gained consciousness and began to cry, scaring off Jumbo and offering keepers a chance to safely retrieve the boy. Melbourne Zoo. In 1989, 32-year-old Australian man Ellie Kuo decided to seek out a martial arts matchup that would test his awesome new skills in Kung Fu. Told by his instructor that he had reached a level in his training where you can kill wild animals with your bare hands, the misguided student decided to follow his instructor's words to the letter and sought a fight with a lion at the Melbourne Zoo. In the middle of the night, he snuck into the zoo and in true ninja stealth style, scaled the lion enclosure to see which of the mighty warriors would die by his hands. Thing is, there were a whole lot of lions to choose from, and before the man could throw a single punch, all the lions ganged up on the guy and ripped him to shreds. Zoo employees found his remains, 2 arms and hands, the following morning, with shreds of red fur grasped tightly in his fingers. Pittsburgh Zoo. 2-year-old Maddox Derkosh lost his life in 2012 after falling into the wild African dogs exhibit at the Pennsylvania Zoo. The boy's mother was holding the child on top of the exhibit's protective railing when Maddox lunged forward and landed in the enclosure after bouncing off a net meant to collect belongings and trash, accidentally dropped into the exhibit. Several dogs fatally attacked the boy shortly after he fell into the exhibit. Maddox died before help arrived. GUWAHATIZOO. This incident happened in December 2007. Jai Prakash Besbara, a 50-year-old man who was on the last stop of his vacation with his wife and 2 children, must have really thought the zoo was out to protect the animals from being photographed at a bad angle, because he snuck down to the inner enclosure of the GUWAHATIZOO to snap some artsy photos when a female tiger came over and grabbed his arm. Several zookeepers had been trying to stop Besbara from being as close as he was to the deadly animals, but before they could stop him or aid him in rescue, a male tiger appeared and aided the female in ripping the man's left arm off. Besbara was transported immediately to the hospital but died of his injuries before he arrived. Taipei Zoo. In November 2004, a 46-year-old man identified only by his last name of Chen jumped into the lion cage at the Taipei Zoo and called out at the big cats that Jesus will save you. The lion he was taunting ripped his jacket off, pinned him against a rocky ridge in the pen, and bit and scratched the man before zookeepers intervened, driving the lion away with hoses and tranquilizing darts. Brookfield Zoo. At this Chicago zoo, a gorilla once again came to the aid of a vulnerable child. In 1996, a young boy fell into the gorilla exhibit, where he was approached by Bintu Joie, a female gorilla. The primate picked up the boy, cradled him in her arms, and carried the child to the exhibit's service door. Zookeepers stood in wait at the entrance and were able to take the boy from the gorilla without incident and begin medical treatment. Santiago Metropolitan Zoo. Keepers at this Chilean zoo shot and killed 2 lions to save a man who climbed into the animal's enclosure to commit suicide. On May 22, 2016, the unnamed man climbed the fence of the exhibit, removed his clothes, and approached the big cats. As the man came in contact with the 2 lions, keepers made the choice to shoot the male and female animals, a decision they said was both sad and painful. It is believed the intruder was trying to commit suicide based on a note found in his clothing. Berlin Zoo. In 2009, a woman decided to dive into the polar bear exhibit at the Berlin Zoo during the feeding time of the 4 polar bears. Once in the exhibit, the woman swam out to meet one of the polar bears, who responded to her intrusion by biting her arms and legs. Keepers were able to save the female by pushing away the bear that was attacking her and dragging the woman back up the enclosure wall. The intruder sustained serious injuries, but managed to survive the encounter. The woman was later revealed to be a teacher and a mother. SeaWorld Orlando. In 1999, the body of a 27-year-old man was found on the back of SeaWorld's killer whale, Tilikum. Park officials believe the man entered the park at night to play with the famous orca. Since the man was found naked without any serious external injuries, it is believed that Tilikum dragged the man under the water repeatedly, drowning him. Detroit Zoo. In 1990, Rick Swope clambered into a chimpanzee exhibit to save a drowning chimp. The 33-year-old truck driver, who couldn't stand watching the animal thrash and fight for its life, jumped into the enclosure without a second thought. Swope grabbed the 135-pound animal and hauled him up the pool slope and back to land. At no time during the rescue mission did the chimp try to hurt Swope, and thanks to his actions, the animal survived. The man was able to get out of the exhibit without injury and was thanked by the zoo for his dangerous and heroic actions. Now, this is one of the rare occasions where jumping into an animal enclosure was the right thing to do. Toronto Zoo. Back to the idiots again. In April 2016, a visitor to the Canadian Zoo caused a frenzy when she decided to jump into the facility's tiger exhibit to retrieve her hat. Video of the incident shows the woman climbing over the safety fence to pick up the lost item. The tiger, who was separated from the woman by another fence, tried to approach her, but was unable to make contact before the woman climbed out of the enclosure. Beijing Zoo. Gugu, the giant panda, has a history with trespassers. On multiple occasions, panda fans have slipped into the animal's cage and tried to hug him. On those occasions, Gugu has bit the unwanted visitors repeatedly. The most recent incident occurred in 2009 when a man entered the bear's enclosure to pick up a toy his child had dropped. Gugu bit the man on the leg, but was driven off by broom-wielding keepers before he could cause any further damage. This was the 3rd time Gugu had bitten an intruder. Cleveland METROPARKSZOO. In 2015, a 2-year-old boy fell into the cheetah exhibit at the Ohio Zoo. The child's parents were able to retrieve the boy without any injury. The cheetahs in the enclosure mostly ignored the presence of both the boy and the adults. Onlookers say it appeared the child was hung over the railing and accidentally dropped, leading the zoo to seek out a child endangerment charge against the parents. Delhi Zoo. A 22-year-old man, reported to be mentally unstable, was mauled to death by a white tiger in the Delhi Zoo in 2014. The man jumped into the tiger's enclosure, following which the big cat simply stared at him for 15 minutes. Worried onlookers started screaming and throwing stones at the tiger, actions that seemed to have aggravated the big cat. The white tiger locked its jaws around the victim's neck and mauled him for around 15 minutes before police managed to reach the scene. YOUNGOR Wildlife Park, China. A tragic incident unfolded at YOUNGOR Wildlife Park in Ningbo, China in January 2017. Apparently, a man fell into a tiger enclosure at the facility while trying to scale an exterior wall in an attempt to avoid paying the zoo's entrance fee. Graphic videos taken by zoo guests show that the man was mauled by 3 tigers as onlookers screamed. Zoo officials reportedly shot and killed 1 tiger in the enclosure. The man was taken to a nearby hospital where he later died from his injuries. Cincinnati Zoo. And lastly, how can we close this topic without touching upon the horrendous killing of Harambe the gorilla? Western lowland gorillas are critically endangered, and now there's one less of them with the death of Harambe, after a 3-year-old boy fell into his enclosure at the Cincinnati Zoo in May 2016. Experts like Jane Goodall believe Harambe was attempting to protect the boy, but nevertheless, zookeepers say they made the right decision in shooting and killing the gorilla. Tranquilizer darts would not have taken effect quickly enough, they said. Some argue that the death could have been prevented if the child's parents were paying closer attention to him, and that if the enclosure had a larger barrier. I hope we humans will take a lesson from all these cases and take the necessary precautions while we visit the zoo the next time. Please, spread the message of safety by sharing this video with your friends and family. Also, I request you to press the like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. You can see the bell icon below. Please click on it to receive notifications of my future videos. I will see you soon, and thanks for watching.